Good evening, this is Gabriel Jackson, and welcome to BJC Mitzvah Day, number 123, part 2. A mitzvah that keeps your soul on its way, the obligation of the Oleh V'yoreid offering, a very difficult mitzvah, long mitzvah, but we're going to get through it slowly and steady. That always wins the race. And as much you understand, great. You can't get it all, folks. People think that, Rabbi didn't really understand this. Well, hello. The greatest rabbis had to review hundreds of times. And they say the difference between a person who reviews 100 times versus 101 times is huge. They say the minimum you should review is 40 times, corresponding to the 40 days that Moshe was up with Hashem in heaven, or 24 times of review, corresponding to the 24 books, including the prophets and the writings of the 5 books of Moses. So yeah, we got to do a lot of review. You can't get it all, but we're getting a taste. Let's go. The Chinuch explains how each of the 4 sins listed above are derived from their scriptural source. He begins with the oath of testimony. The full verse regarding the oath of testimony reads, "If a person will sin, if he accepted a demand for an oath, and he is a witness, either he saw or he knew testimony, if he does not testify, he shall bear his iniquity." The Chinuch begins by explaining the term Kol Olah, which literally means the voice of an adjuration. We are so commanded, as it is stated, if a person will sin, if he accepted the voice of an adjuration, the phrase the voice of an adjuration means to say the sound of an oath, i.e. the litigants adjure him to declare under oath whether he knows some testimony regarding their case. If he does not testify, he shall bear his iniquity. That is, even after being adjured with an oath, he denies knowledge of any testimony that he actually could give. He bears a sin for which he must atone. At the end of the matter, i.e., at the end of the passage that lists all 4 sins, the verse states the offering that is required, beginning, he shall bring as his guilt offering to Hashem, and concludes with the 3 levels of offerings depending on the financial ability of the violator, like we mentioned yesterday. The Chinuch points out an aspect of this violation that does not apply to the other 3 sins for which one incurs the Oleh V'yoreid offering. It is not stated in the verse there, in verse 1, as it is with regard to the other sins, quote, "it was concealed from him," a phrase that indicates an inadvertent violation. This is to teach that when one takes a false oath of testimony, one is obligated to bring the offering whether his violation was inadvertent or deliberate. The Chinuch now explains how the violations regarding entering the temple or eating kadoshim, which are special animals that were slaughtered specifically to be eaten only by the Kohen. So again, Chinuch now explains how the violations regarding entering the temple or eating kadoshim in an impure state, Tameh, are derived from the verses in this passage. The pertinent verses read, "Or if a person will have touched any impure object, whether the carcass of an impure beast, the carcass of an impure animal, or the carcass of a creeping animal that is impure, but it was concealed from him, and he is impure and becomes guilty, or if he will touch a human impurity in any manner of its impurity, through which he can become impure, but it was concealed from him, and he knew, and he became guilty." These verses refer to contact with various sources of impurity, such as nevela, the carcass of an animal that died by some means other than a valid ritual slaughter, a sheretz, the carcass of one of the 8 species of creeping creatures listed in Leviticus, a corpse or a person who had contact with a corpse, or a person who is impure, tameh, with certain forms of tumah. Okay, it's getting late. We'll have to stop here. Like I said, it's long, difficult. We will continue to sponsor future mitzvah. 36,100 the goal. See you tomorrow.